Let me tell you, this trial was unbelievably compelling yesterday, and the person with eyes on it is Cara Thomas, reporting for us here this morning from Spectrum News. And Cara, you've been there the whole time. Were you surprised yesterday that Frank Policelli chose to do a couple of witnesses and then closing arguments?
You know, he did a total of five.
Five of them.
Witnesses.
But it moved quickly, though, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, the last day he had 3 witnesses, but then he ended up calling 2 witnesses early before the prosecution had rested their case,
right?
Because of scheduling issues.
Yeah.
But honestly, I thought I was expecting. I mean, I had no idea what was really going through his mind. I expected a few more witnesses of certain kinds.
Yeah.
Possibly a handwriting expert to talk about, the Mary Yoder's signature that was on the letter of intent and forms that were sent in to purchase the colchicine, whether or not those were matches. I didn't know if he was going to call someone like that or if he was going to call his own computer expert. So that surprised me that he didn't call people like that to the stand. But otherwise, I mean, really, the defense doesn't even have to call anybody if they don't want to. So
yeah, right.
I didn't know what to expect.
Did you think that at any point that Kaitlyn Conley was going to get up on the stand?
No.
No,
I didn't. I didn't get the sense that she would take the stand. I think because there was so much played of the interrogation/interview video. I don't know. I kind of thought that was her speaking, and the defense really played that up using what she said in there as twisting it as the prosecution was saying certain things that she said, like, I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life, or you can't help me. The prosecution's trying to use those quotes as, these are her admitting guilt in some way, whereas the defense is saying you were giving her no choice. You're telling her she's guilty.
Right.
So,
and they kept saying we're trying to get the truth, and Policelli's answer to that is, no, you're putting words into her mouth. You're trying to get the outcome that you're looking for, and you pushed her to that. Is that correct?
Right, that is exactly what his argument was.
Interesting. Okay, a couple of other big things that came out of this yesterday. I want to go on personalities. Kaluza is a different character from Lisi from the last time. Mild-mannered, different presentation. But then again, so is Policelli. Do you have any sense of how the jury is receiving them? And we talked about how a lot of times attorneys will try to make a connection with the jurors. Did you see any of that? And who would what do you think the jury's thinking? Can you tell?
Oh, no, I can't tell. From where I'm sitting in the courtroom, every day, you can't really get to a good look of their faces. But from what I can see, is they're paying very close attention to everything. And so, but none of them really show, from what I can see anyway, any emotion really on their faces. They're just listening.
Interesting.
One thing that I found interesting about that and their personalities, Policelli actually got up and during his closing apologized for, I'm sorry if I've offended any of you for the person that I am, because he said I'm like what was the term he used? Basically, he's a
bull in a china closet.
Or he said specifically like he was a fighting dog in the courtroom, and that he's going to fight for his client, and that's why he's been so aggressive and so, to the point and yelling and things like that.
That is very interesting, because that's what we've been talking about today and hearing other attorneys speak about, and is the fact that does the jury like him? Because it seemed that the last time reports we got from jurors who were willing to speak quietly said they really didn't like the prosecution. Now it's a different prosecution, but now you have this very aggressive and yelling and kind of an East Utica type yeller. That's Policelli, but he referenced that yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, and you're right. He's a completely different than Chris Pelly was in the first trial. Chris Pelly was very likable, would joke with the jury, and would kind of get them to laugh on occasion. So it is very different, and I don't know whether they're taking him a different way, or if they understand why he is so aggressive and trying to fight for his client.
Well, we're going to find out, though, right? We'll find out. Okay, finally, the big thing that came out yesterday. First-degree manslaughter. That is big. That gives jurors another option. Second-degree murder, meaning she intended to kill. She poisoned Mary Yoder and tried to kill her. First-degree manslaughter means she did not have intent to kill. She had intent to maybe injure, but not an intent to kill. The unintended result was that Mary Yoder died. What'd you think of that? That was big.
It was, and we had heard a little whisper from Kaluza had brought that up a couple to the day prior when they were talking about, arresting their case. He mentioned that they were going to include a lesser charge, and the judge had kind of said, we'll talk about that later. Well, then yesterday during the judge's charge, he brought up the lesser charge. But either way, the jury is still going to have to determine whether or not intent was involved. Because either way, that's exactly what the defense is arguing, that while the prosecution has all of this evidence, this computer evidence that points directly to Conley about purchasing the colchicine, is there any evidence directly that links her to Mary's ingestion of the colchicine? So that's what the jury is going to have to decide, is if there is intent there. And Kaluza, during his closings, spent some time talking about intent, saying, look at how much Mary Yoder had to ingest a lot of colchicine. And they're pretty much the whole bottle. This 1 gram of colchicine could kill 18 people, and only a tenth of it was left in the bottle. So they're saying that's intent in and of itself, that all of that was used on Mary Yoder. What kind of intent?
Right.
What's the intention behind that act? She wanted her dead. That's what they're claiming.
Very, very, very interesting. Now, my last question for you is, you were there the whole time. If you were on the jury, what would you say?
I don't know.
Don't fall for it.
Come on. How could you interrupt?
That's hard. You're killing me. I'm a reporter. I'm not allowed to help.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because Manaski just blink blocked me there. Let me ask you this. Verdict blocked me. I want to ask you this. If you were on the jury, and this is a question I think you can answer. If you were on the jury, would you walk in to deliberation with a clear vision in your mind saying, I have a verdict?
I don't think so, simply because there is so much evidence there that, this was 3 weeks worth of testimony. So for the jury to just immediately, maybe there probably are people on the jury that immediately say, yes, she's guilty, yes, she's not guilty, either way. But I think as a juror, you have to do your due diligence to go in and look at the evidence again. If you had any thoughts of, listen to what the other jurors are saying and consider some of the other options before you just jump right to a firm conclusion.
All right. Well, listen, I want to tell you how much we've appreciated you coming on and updating us on this. Thank you so much. And maybe we can chat one more time after the jury comes back with a verdict.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Last trial, it was 5 days of deliberation, so we shall see what will happen this time around.
All right. Well, great job, Cara. Thanks so much. And you can watch Cara on Spectrum News. Thank you so much.